Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scheduling Conflicts, the only prestige show on, in this case, YouTube and TikTok, that only goes on when our other shows are canceled. Today, we'll be returning to the world of Artifice, the fantastical floating city of the post apocalyptic state of Prospect, the world that we created in our other stream that I'm sure you're all huge fans of. That is our GM Writers Room stream, which is normally on Thursdays. We created the world of Prospect, and as a result, made a bunch of sort of fun and flavorful cities, and then later decided to figure out what would happen if the apocalypse came to that world, and one of the results was the City of Artifice. We are joining a game of Monster of the Week where our two players, Spencer and Stefan, will be playing a dynamic crime-solving duo fighting monsters in a floating city high above the still somewhat apocalyptic world of Prospect. Magic essentially died in that world, and everybody was left in a state of strange mundanity that is just starting to be unmade, right? So for some of the signs that came up in previous games, the dragons that sort of roost underneath the city that had grown to be small, somewhat realistic in scape, kind of dinosaur creatures. The first of those generations have started to be larger than generations that come previous. Clerics are beginning to manifest small powers, and most importantly, Spencer's playing an angel. So that's a pretty good sign that things are sort of back on track. The music that you're hearing is from White Bat Audio. It is their 80s horror sort of inspired synth playlist that I'm a big fan of for this stream. And I have the picture of the Monster of the Week book up here. If you don't play it yet at home, you gotta play Monster of the Week. It's so good. Probably my favorite TTRPG. I'm not sure. I love the system though. It's very fun. It's very punchy. Oof. Are we ready? I guess let's go around and introduce our characters, and then I will introduce the opening of our mystery here. Take it away. I'm going to point to Spencer first.
Yeah, hello. Welcome to the stream. So, my character is Vigil. He is an angel from another plane of this reality who has been sent on a celestial mission to keep our compatriot, being played by Stefan, safe because he has a part to play in whatever's to come in the near future. Something terrible as near as I've been able to discern. So at all costs, I must keep him safe and on the right path. With that in mind, we have taken over the roles of the bygone travailers, heroes of the realm that would investigate and keep things moving properly. And we've taken up that office here in the City in the Sky. So Vigil is a pretty beefy looking celestial wielding a massive lightning hammer. An imposing figure is what he casts here. Vigil doesn't fully understand the intricacies of human interaction and does his best. We'll leave it with that.
Awesome. And Stefan?
Cool. And I'm playing Luke Hout, a searcher character who, upon trying to reverse burgle painting that he got a word of, trying to steal it from and then return it before the thieves could get in there fully, and then in the middle of that whisks the cloth off the painting, saw that it was this cosmic depiction of multi-universes and things, and I guess maybe with the magic kind of trickling back into the world, it was much more alive, and so he got had a vision blast and of multi-universes, past, present, and all that kind of stuff. And also one of the clearest parts of it from that flash of the visual was Vigil in this cosmic chaos. So then he was latched onto that and then found Vigil, and they joined together to start this, or joining with, as you said, with the Travelers, and have been having a couple of successful adventures so far.
Yes, you guys have killed a mirror demon and some slad.
Yeah.
Legally distinct chaos frog creatures.
Yep.
I should say, let me be more specific. You fought some legally distinct chaos frogs from another plane. Absolutely wonderful. You've made me realize another system. Going off that painting, we could probably play Call of Cthulhu in Prospect as well if we wanted to.
True.
With just a little bit of shuffling. Absolutely fabulous. Okay. With that, I will introduce our adventure, and we can pick up from there. We zoom in on a newspaper being thrown onto a street corner by a lad in a newsboy cap. And the headline says, Mayhem in the Mead Quarter. And we can just see the front sort of eye-grabbing part of the sort of tab. The opening of the Temple of Moy Callahan continues to be maligned by mysterious mechanical mishaps. What is the source of these newfound nightmares? Can anyone help this disaster-ridden district get back on track? Continues on page 5. That is what we see on the front of this paper. The two of you have heard early reports that the Mead Quarter, ironically, a place that no longer produces mead, has fallen into a rather miserable state. To the southwestern quarter is the old temple of Moy Callahan, a god of equilibrium, sort of balance between things. Moy Callahan, however, disappeared, like many of the other gods did, when magic faded from the world. He faded from the memories of those that had once worshipped, I suppose them, it's the spirit. They worshipped from the minds of those that had once worshipped them. However, with the recent resurgence of magic, some of these divine figures have begun to reach out again, and supposedly, Moy Callahan has taken a cleric in the form of Madison Doyle, the local magistrate of the Mead Quarter, who has redubbed herself a Templar of Moy Callahan. Notably, their world does not have quite the same baggage that ours does around the term. Hearing that, you would think that the district would be in a wonderful state, finding this god of law willing to make business with them, but instead, the Mead Quarter has been assaulted, seemingly, by bad luck. Mechanical failures, failing telegraph lines. Yes, it is canonically telegraphs that dot their way around this city. Failing water pipes, terrible accidents at all hours of the day, even in situations where it makes little sense. This small corner of the city has descended into mayhem. People rub rabbits' feet and throw salt over their shoulders on the way out the door every day, hoping that they are the next ones to be struck by foul luck. We find the two of you approaching perhaps your most challenging situation so far. This is not a string of woeful murders nor a hospital infected by legally distinct chaos frogs. Seemingly, this is just bad luck, but enough so that the two of you have simply had to get involved. There's no non-supernatural explanation for what is happening here. So it's important to set up the genre in our minds, and for those of you at home, always try to establish genre nice and early. You two are the detectives. There's no one here to answer these questions for you. You're the people they called. So, don't be afraid to bring the full weight of your experience as investigators to bear. Act like professionals. Make rolls, and we'll see what you know and what you don't. But there is no backup for the Trevaliers. It is just the two of you out here trying to make things work. All right? Now,
Ready.
Something from last session that we need to clear up. Vigil, after expending a couple of luck points, got into a situation where he has probably received sort of a vision from divinity, right? That is something that happens to you. You are supposed to get some new piece of the puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The news that you hear is that somewhere in the Mead Quarter, there is another painting touched by fate that needs to be retrieved. So that's
All
sort of a
right.
side goal that you have going at the same time.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna let my ally know about that, Luke.
We should definitely get a really good cover for it. Tie up the corners, just if we find that thing, careful transport then.
Yes. Careful transport.
So where... I'll just ask, where do we open? I have a map of the area. The only significant location you know anything about at this point is the temple. Do you start there? Do you start out on the street? Do we want to start with rolls as you guys start to sort of do the early steps of approaching the adventure? How do Luke and Vigil begin their adventure?
Vigil's not very good with people, so he's not going to take point on talking with anybody. But what Vigil does want to do is start walking through the district and finding places that have been burnt out, or people on the street who have lost jobs, stuff like that. Anything that stands out as being particularly misfortunate, he wants to take a look around at.
Okay, and Luke, are you with Vigil, or do you have some other approach that you think Luke takes at this early time?
I might try to ask around, figure out when these major bouts of strange bad luck started happening, and see if I can draw a kind of a pattern between where they started, what's happening now, and if there's kind of any sort of build up from that.
Okay, so it sounds like Vigil is looking for a crime scene to investigate, and Luke is trying to get a sense of the sort of larger structure of what is going on here. So Luke, I assume that you have sort of a map of the city, and you have perhaps torn out the page of that atlas that is the closest to only depicting the Mead quarter. And so the two of you are sort of going about this in very different ways. Luke, I think we can pretty much open with a roll from you in that case. I suppose roll plus sharp. You are definitely investigating a mystery, but your responses, your potential answers are going to be very limited.
Gotcha.
Because you're taking so broad a look. It's easier to investigate a crime scene than to, sort of...
Yeah. At least found a little bit of luck and rolled high. 11 total.
11 total, absolutely. As you start to get a look at these unfortunate events, as you trace them out, you see one of the few that has resulted in real damage. A house did burn down, and you point Vigil in that direction. Vigil, you have a place that you can go and investigate. You see some other spots. You see a location where a man died in an unfortunate vehicular accident. You get one of the locations where against all odds, these wires that run all across the city, traveling communique, broke down suddenly and violently, leaving a live wire hanging through the center of the city. You find another location where a pretty nasty sewer backup flooded sewage into an apartment building, leaving many people to find other places to stay or simply tough out the smell. And it occurs to you that none of them are on the other side of the quarter from the temple.
All right.
So you just sort of notice that there is a gradient, and that the bad luck seems centered on that newfound temple, the Temple of Moy Callahan. Ooh, excuse me. Vigil. What is it? What year was this movie made? Do we want the 80s? Do we soft dissolve to this crime
Yeah.
scene?
We do that fade out.
Fade dissolve, and we zoom in on Vigil. Hammer with you, wrapped in cloth, maybe?
Oh, the hammer's locked in on his back. He's got a little mechanism that he can pop off.
Are you in a detective gear, or are you dressed like a normal person? Or are you dressed like a knight? What's the...
Vigil is way more knightly than anybody else. He has natural armor, so it's not that, but it's vestments over some padded armor. He does have an overcoat that is kind of detective-y, that covers up sort of his huge stature. And behind that is the hammer. He has symbols of his office everywhere. Nice. It bedecks him, so everybody knows he's a travailer.
Oh, you have my favorite thing in media is when there's just a whole document wax sealed to the front of someone's chest,
Yeah.
just like a full writ or something there. I always love that in movies and stuff when they do that. And you are sort of just investigating this burned down structure. You see it's a pretty large sort of warehouse style construction. Looking around, you can tell that they probably made something. This is probably a member of the sort of artisan class of the city, somebody who produced something.
I'm gonna start by just looking around, seeing what pops up.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you've got a lot of options there. I would say obviously the most central would be investigating a mystery. Reading a bad situation you could also go with. Obviously this didn't go well.
I'm gonna do investigate a mystery.
Yeah, so you really start to like comb through, looking around, looking where other people's wouldn't, maybe climbing some of the sturdier, less burned down things to get a look at some of the higher structures here.
I got a 9.
A 9. Okay, 9 on investigate a mystery. Hold 1. What happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? What is being concealed?
I'm gonna say what's being concealed.
What's being concealed? You spend a couple of minutes digging around in the ash and soot of this place. Your powerful angelic lungs require no mask, and so you can sort of stay here and look for a much longer period of time than other people would, who would need to put on PPE and spend lots of time. You start to sort of shovel through and look around at things before eventually you do notice something. As you are sort of peeking around, you notice that the chimney at the back of the room, there's sort of a large fireplace going up the back. You notice that the chimney on the interior is choked with smoke, and you start to pose a question as you begin to wonder why the chimney didn't collapse. The heat should have broken the mortar in several places. This whole building burnt down. You look up and in and see that there is a large cloth, like bundle of cloth that has been jammed up into the flue and has plugged the fireplace. This is probably how this fire started.
All right. So not magical in nature. Interesting.
Do you like pull the cloth out or anything, or do you just notice that it's there?
I'll probably pull it. They're not going to do any more investigations. We're the last line here, so I'll pull that down. See if there's anything. I'm not holding my breath.
It's the only thing that you see is that it is a beautiful quilt. It's pretty burned on the bottom, but the top side was largely saved. It's this very intricate, carefully designed quilt with lots of just like very simple geometric designs, but definitely very well made.
Is there like a creator's tag or a stitch in there that says like, initials, anything like that?
Notably, no. There's no tag. There's no sign that this was mass-produced or produced by a particularly famous artisan. It's probably just a homemade, like a handcraft item.
All right. I'm going to step out. I'm going to keep... I'll probably go talk to anybody who looks down on their luck in particular out on the street now.
Yeah, totally. As you start to sort of make your way back towards Luke, looking around for people to talk to, I'll say, Luke, at this same time, you finish drawing this map and realizing that things are somewhat centered on this temple. What are you up to while Vigil is investigating?
Yeah. And I guess, like, maybe doing a little bit of, like, a perimeter sweep, too, just seeing if, like, there are any, like, bouts of, like, since, like, Moy Callahan is, like, a god of equilibrium, like, perhaps, like, farther away from the temple, if it's bad luck here, maybe there's, like, unnatural good luck happening a bit farther out. And just seeing if anyone's, like, running around with lottery tickets or just, like, meeting someone that they haven't seen for a long time.
Interesting. Yeah, you try to investigate if maybe that is what is going on, if, like, too much good luck somewhere else is throwing things out of whack, and quickly discover that no such windfalls of good luck, no roll required, no such great windfalls of amazing luck have been occurring further outside of the sort of range of this temple.
Okay.
Did you want to do anything else for the record? So that would be relatively quick. You basically just ask around, like, have you heard anything about like really good stuff happening anywhere? And the answer you get is no. The city of Artifice continues to be just sort of as it is.
Yeah, I guess maybe checking in on some of the terms like parishioners or anything, like the congregates to the new church, seeing if they've been attending for long.
Totally, yeah. I mean, that would be just rolling up inside the church itself, trying to sort of just wait around for people that are, here at prayer. You enter in through the front doors of the temple to discover a pretty large palatial building, about 2/3 of the way repaired. You can see clear places where it fell into pretty woeful disrepair that have been fixed. There are many places inside where scaffolding still stands and repairs are underway. And you can't help but notice there are also some areas where there seems to be some very recent cleanup, where attempts to fix this place have fallen unhelped, have basically not been able to complete the repairs that they have been trying to do. You see a few people sort of sitting or standing at the pews in prayer, and you see a woman standing behind the sort of central area tending to repairs to this large main. The music is really trying to oversell the evil here. She is
no, she's evil. I can tell.
Yeah, she has on very long, flowing clerical robes, and is attending to repairs despite her state of relatively formal dress. You see a large statue of Moy Callahan, as he is always depicted, both hands above his head, holding a set of scales that are balanced. He is always seen in this high pose like this, notably holding the equilibrium above even himself. You see a few people. You see this woman who it's safe to assume may well be Madison Doyle. What do you do? To them,
All right,
as of now, you're just a guy.
Yeah. I guess I'll wave to her and just be like, I assume you're Madison Doyle then, right? I'm Luke Hout from the Travailers.
She puts down a large, bowl that she seems to have mixed some sort of, loose spackle inside of, some light drywall, sets it down and goes, yes, just 1 second. She wipes her hands off on the front of her thing and then stops and blows into her hands and rubs, and you see her use just a little trace of magic, and it wipes right off of her pants. Some early form of thaumaturgy or prestidigitation, probably all the magic that she could bring to bear at this point. She stands up and goes, yes, I'd heard that you might be in the area. I'm sorry that you've been called in for something as silly as bad luck. I'm sure people are just overreacting. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have, if you have them, but I think it's more superstition than anything else.
Yeah, well, I imagine it's just the feeling of bad luck going through the day must put people in pretty low spirits around here.
There's
so
a bug
hopefully,
in my chocolate milk.
Oh no!
There's a bug in my chocolate milk.
See, a little bit of bad luck, and it's just makes everything so terrible.
She puts down her glass of chocolate milk and goes, "God, stupid," and sets it down. I'm so sorry. I've spoiled your moment, Stefan. Please take it from the top. I just looked down and there was a ladybug in my chocolate milk.
Oh,
go ahead.
Yes. Well, kind of those little bits of bad luck definitely can ruin one's day. But we're kind of looking into them, and it does seem from the reports that a lot of the bad luck has been kind of centered around the temple. So I didn't know if those that have been experiencing it, are they kind of any of the people that have been attending here? Were they specifically targeted, maybe?
Go ahead and make me a charm roll.
All right, that'll be a flat one.
I just basically need to know what Madison thinks of you at first blush.
All right, that was just a 7.
A 7 to 9 is still a mixed success, so she'll be cagey, but she doesn't despise you. She goes,
cool.
I think everyone in the area has been affected by bad luck, but I think that, how do I put this? I think when something major is going on in an area like this, I think when you're rebuilding a temple, when you're trying to rebuild things, I think that people start to pay attention to what they're lacking when they see others possessing. So I think that that really is all that's going on. Yes, many of our parishioners have had small issues. We had a house fire in the area. We've had some issues with local communications. I think there's far more of engineering than ectoplasm about all of it, but you're more than welcome to speak to anybody. I myself have had no woeful luck other than trying to restore a very old building that is in a very poor state of repair.
Okay. And have you seen anyone around here like that might be kind of like antagonistic towards the completion of your reconstruction, or any suspects as far as like any mishaps going on to repair the building?
We've had a few sort of naysayers and ne'er-do-wells, a few local activists that think that the money that the town is putting towards this restoration would be better spent other places. I can't imagine what they think is more valuable than the restoration of clerical magic to the world and the connection to our gods, but I suppose you can't control what some people decide is important. And they would rather spend the money on, I don't know, potholes and things of that nature than trying to make real progress in the city. If you're looking for a name, there's a gentleman sort of head of the issue. We've had to deal with, him posting flyers and things. A young man named Kenelm Kincaid has been causing a lot of issues in the area.
Great. And do you know where he kind of usually resides, or has like a office for his kind of business too?
I actually don't know where Kincaid does most of his. I don't know where he lives. I know he works just across the quarter.
All right.
He is a oh gosh, what's the term? The GM has forgotten the term. Guys, what do you call the people that put shoes on horses? He's a farrier. He's a farrier. He's a farrier across town. For those few people that are still, that haven't, given way for the newer vehicles that still rely on horses and such. He's a farrier across town, which a farrier afraid of progress. Who could ever guess?
All right, thank you. Well, I might just take a little look around here. I won't try to disturb anything. Then, good day to you.
All right, thank you so much. You're more than welcome to speak to whoever it is that you need to speak to. And she
Great.
turns back and sets immediately back to her work.
All right.
Did I get it right? Farrier. Nailed it! I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, so she basically bids you that you are allowed to continue. That's what a 7 to 9 gets you. She's not the most helpful lady, but you are allowed to speak to the members of her parish here.
Yeah, I guess I'll look at some of the redestroyed areas and mishaps and see if there's any sort of like signs of sabotage to those little areas.
Yeah, make a sharp roll.
Oh.
And Vigil, at some point around now, looking for people that are dealing with this malfeasance, these issues, brings you to the temple, where you find that a lot of the people are praying for guidance and assistance. And so you open the door to see Luke in the process of looking at the building, with a few people praying, lighting candles, making small offerings to the god of equilibrium. So what would a gift to the god of equilibrium be, even? You see a lot of people offering, lighting a candle and pouring a small bowl of water, offering wine, but also a little bit of bread. They're sort of trying to give items that balance each other out as small offerings. What was the result of your roll, Luke? As Vigil
That was
starts looking
an
for someone to
8.
talk to? An 8? Okay, mixed success. As you're looking around, you see a lot of areas where, the plaster that she is spreading has failed. You see other areas where attempted repairs to masonry have failed. And it occurs to you that the things that have failed all involve, a mixture that needs to be done just right. Or mason work that needs to be balanced correctly and weighted correctly and supported correctly. You find no hard evidence that anything has occurred. but you do notice that the things that have gone wrong are also things that can be sabotaged. Do you understand the difference between the two, what I'm saying there? Like, nothing has gone wrong that only bad luck could explain, right? A wall didn't collapse out of nowhere. It's the sorts of things that could be sabotaged that have gone poorly. There's no proof, but that does seem to be the sort of trend.
All right.
You're sort of making your way around. As you look around, you see a couple of people at the pair. Sorry, I have to switch over my sheet there. Are you looking for any particular sort of folks, or are you just going to go up to probably the first person you speak to?
Probably the first person. The first person who's making an offering and looks sad.
There we go. All right. Yeah, you make your way up and you end up walking up to a older looking gentleman who is making an offering. You begin to get the sense that a certain degree of sort of cleverness is required to find a good offering. He appears to be offering coin, a silver coin, and a pocket lint. Quite an ingenious little sense of the balance of those two forces in life, and is offering some prayer. And he seems to be really up in. He is fully on his knees, looking forward, looking at one of these reliefs of Moy Callahan in one of the sort of early legends of his deeds of daring do.
Vigil waits a few seconds, and when he sees he's not going to stop, he looks around a little bit, and he, Sir, hail.
What? You see this gentleman turns around. You see that they are, I don't think this would be legal property of any group. You see they are half orc. It seems a little bit of a greenish tone to their skin. A little bit of, barely visible tusk protrusion. They are apparently somewhat divided down from that line, as most people in the city are these days. Turning around and goes, hello there. How can I help you? And then he looks at your outfit and the thing on your chest and goes, "Oh, I know you. You're one of those travailers."
Mm-hmm. Travailer Vigil at your service.
Here to help us solve our woeful bads.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was hoping I get some information from some of the people who this bad luck has fallen upon.
Of course. He lowers his voice and he goes, "Careful with the volume. Madison doesn't want us talking too much about it." And he gestures up to the woman attending to the front area.
I see. Do you mind if I sit next to you?
No, certainly. Come sit down. And he sits, looking around, sort of sidles up to hear you.
Yeah, I sit and I say, so, if you don't mind telling me what happened to you.
Well, my name's Philo McCord. I'm a, and it's important that I know, this would be perfectly legal in the city. He goes, I'm a bookie. I run bets for the horse track down the way. I run bet. God, I love this city. There's a horse track in a flying city. There's things that we made true in the lore while we were kind of having a good time that then I have to keep making be true. And Philo's like, and we take bets on, people that go down for salvage and stuff. We bet on what they'll come back with. I know it's a little grim, but, it helps people get distracted. To anybody else, it'd be kind of hard to track down. Everybody's winning all their bets. I had to shut down. The house supposed to win enough or always win, and I can't do nothing but lose. It's awful. The people who make bets local, they lose. Like you'd expect. But anybody from out of town, from out of the district that comes in, well, I gotta be honest, they caught on to it quicker than I did, and next thing I knew, the coffers dry as anything. And you look over at the silver and pocket lint that he made offering of and get the sense that he was praying for prosperity.
And this was bets on horses. Did the horses that were, the house was betting on fall ill? Did the riders, something happened to them? Or was it just they ran the race and one of them came out on top that shouldn't have?
again, I know this is sort of an odd example, but it's just, yeah, I don't know if not, to be perfectly frank. And he like goes, "Do you, if you don't mind, I can really." He reaches into his bag and like takes out a ledger and starts walking you through some of the like stats on different things. And he goes, if mostly people from the area bet on a horse, it loses. And he points to one and he goes, "This one, uh, 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 broke its leg right out of the gate. Old Bim Shimbles." Horse that never loses,
Hmm.
really. Usually nice and consistent. Breaks its leg, a single step out. Right around the same time, and he gestures to another one. He goes, "We've got two more that succeed, bet on mostly by people out of town. Those both do fine as anything. Seems to be my awful luck that they would all be successful. The next one that mostly locals bet on, Lucy Powell, gets sick the day before she's supposed to go out riding, does a piss poor job, can't get it done." And it's all the way down. And he shows you a ledger, and it's you see that, you watch when he adds a column and starts like doing out the stats on if mostly people out of town or mostly people in town are doing the betting. And anytime it's mostly people in town, something goes wrong, and that is something you do notice. The horse gets hurt. The horse gets hurt before the race, immediately during a race. The jockey gets sick. The turf gets the turf gets something wrong with it that day. They step in a hole. There's always some misfortune. And on the inverse, the horses that aren't that other people bet on consistently do really well. You begin to notice, or a bunch of the other horses do poorly. Those that would have posed sort of logical distinction. And you and Luke sort of start to make meaningful eye contact as you continue to put this together.
Well, thank you for the information. We are only getting started now in the investigation, but I'm sure we will find a hearty resolution quickly. Thank you.
Alrighty, well, if you need anything else, you can talk, come by my place. My name's Follow McCord.
Got it. Thank you.
Alright.
Good luck to you.
He turns back and goes back to pray. You get the sense that Philo is a strangely faithful man for the business that he's in.
Hey, if it works, I walk up to my ally, my companion.
All right.
Cabello Luke,
Hey. You're back. Great.
what have you found?
Mostly that it seems like the bad luck is centered around the temple, and like even like the temple itself, like the reconstruction process is going slower because it's like the mixtures for the plaster and things are all kind of not holding too well and being mixed. So kind of like more like physically manifested mishaps and all that.
I'm beginning to wonder if they might be experiencing good luck and bad luck in balance. Not so much an outside force, but a call from within the home, as it was, seeking equilibrium.
I wonder if maybe it's just like the way perhaps, or if there's like some sort of like research as far as like the origins of May Callahan and how it came about as a god for these people too. Maybe there's another, like with the resurgence of the gods, maybe they have to go through their kind of like spiritual journeys again, perhaps.
Potentially. I pull out the blanket from my bag and I say, this was inside of a burned down building. It was shoved inside the flue of the chimney. So seemingly this started the fire. So my first thought was this was being done by an interloper. But after what I found out with the horse racing and betting, too many things were happening for it to just be someone, hobbling a horse or poisoning a rider. It was all of the horses would be affected, or the area would be affected by something. It's not. I don't think it's a person.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe there's some sort of maybe we can commune with the May Callahan itself then, and see what kind of disturbances or such are happening.
That could work. What
That's a fun
what
one.
shall we offer?
I guess I will kind of. I'll try to like use my memory of the painting to try and draw like a little clear picture, and then have a stick figure beside it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's funny. What's up, Vigil?
I take some of my dried jerky, and I eat half of it, and then I put the other half on the pedestal in front of me.
Okay, that's fun. Yeah. So, is one of you assisting the other? What's the?
Yeah. What would we be?
Yeah,
would this
so,
be
I mean,
weird?
pretty much right up. One of you is helping out, and the other one is use magic.
Oh.
Prayer in this world's use magic. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. There's no religion check to be made. So one of you is helping, and the other one is using magic. So I think the real central question is who has the most weird to goof around with.
My weird is +1.
All right, mine's +2,
Okay.
so I guess I
So,
can take the lead.
Vigil, roll to help out. Roll plus cool.
All right.
Ooh, excuse me. For those of you listening, Monster of the Week runs off of a couple of base rolls. You have a few stats. You have cool, tough, charm, sharp. Am I missing one? Cool, tough, charm, sharp?
Weird.
And weird.
Yeah, weird.
Cool is your ability to sort of stay calm under pressure. And so Vigil is going to roll 2d6 plus cool to see if he successfully helps Luke. If he fails, he can make the situation worse. He can harm the investigation.
And I got a 7.
7 and 9, your help grants them +1 to their roll, but you also expose yourself to trouble or danger. Absolutely. So, Luke, take +1 to your use magic roll.
All right. Oof. That's a 7 total.
A 7? Okay. It works in perfectly. Choose your effect and a glitch. I think your effect is pretty clear, right? It's either going to be do one thing that is beyond human limitations, or communicate with something that you do not share a language with, maybe? You know what I mean? So you're basically just trying to, like, make contact with this creature, or maybe observe another place in time. We need a glitch. Weaken, short duration, immediate unwelcome attention, problematic side effect. Take 1 harm, ignore armor. Do you have a favorite?
I guess whatever seems fitting for this equilibrium guy.
Total. Deeply funny, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sure. So you sort of try to get this vision. To a god of equilibrium, you speak out and make this connection, and you manage to sort of get a hold of home office. You close your eyes as you sort of connect to this feeling, and you do see a vision. In response to sort of the conversation that you were just having, you observe another place in time. Vigil was talking to you about those horse races and about how he didn't understand how a being could be responsible for things on that level. And so you see a strange, the sort of thing that we see in movies all the time, this view. You see the racetrack. It's this pretty large, well-constructed thing on this dirt turf, and these horses are all in these gates. And you notice that they all open seemingly at once. They all open in unison, but you see it at this odd, slow pace, and you get this internal look at the mechanism that opens all of those different gates, and you see, barely perceptible, an absolute masterclass in sabotage. There's a little bit of a, tactile paste, like something with a little bit of an abrasive in it, to slow down the turning of a couple of gears, and barely perceptibly, one of the horse gates opens just a half a bit earlier than the others, and all the rest of the horses are sort of sent briefly off kilter, while one gets an early and strong start out the gate. It's the kind of thing that you'd need to have supernatural abilities to notice. As you return, does Luke wear glasses?
He's got casual clothes, so probably some glasses, yeah.
It's a question for you. Does your character wear spectacles?
Yeah.
Yeah. As you go back into the world and release from this vision, your vision is fuzzy, as if it has gotten a little bit worse. Take -1 sharp as the god of equilibrium extracts vision for vision. At that same time, Vigil goes to sit heavily in a pew, having received the information. And Vigil, the pew shatters underneath you. You slam down to the ground, and you take 1 harm.
Oh.
All right. Vigil thanks for your help though, but seems like there's some sort of like sabotage on a mechanism similar to that cloth at the races themselves too. So like even if it is like a supernatural creature, it's still creating like these very materialized mishaps. So there's got to be some sort of agent or something working for it, perhaps.
Makes sense. I'm curious about sort of the outside the city versus inside the city bet making as well. I don't have any leads on it, but it is strange.
Like, I mean, if maybe there's like another like booking service outside the city area,
Potentially.
So what he was, if that's unclear, what he was describing is when local people would place bets with him, they would lose money. When people from like surrounding areas would make bets with him, they would always win. And eventually, before he picked up on it, they did. And a bunch of people placed bets with him when they realized this odd run of what to them, from their perspective, is very good luck. Because they don't realize that there is this bookie that has... It's not that they had good luck, there's this bookie with incredibly woeful luck from his own perspective.
Yeah, it is strange. All right. Where do you believe we should go next, Treveller Luke?
Well, we could check out the races, see what like maybe that device itself is happening, and at least fix the device that it helps bring a little bit more balance.
Yeah, let's go see.
Okay.
All right.
You guys head out and make your way to Groden Downs. A large horse track that takes betting on site. What's a semi-magical world's equivalent of... I wonder if they have like slot machines or something of like. I suppose you have to imagine whatever crystal-powered nonsense they might have. Most of it is very mundane, much like our own world. But as I said, magic is sort of starting to creep back into the world. So you're starting to get a couple of things. You see, in amongst these betting pools, there is a little glass dome with about 15 people sitting around it, and you see a dust method and a mud method getting ready to square off and fight in this little thunderdome that's been created for the two of them. So some little traces of magical know-how are sort of starting to return, but for the most part it is mundane automated mechanical slot machines and people betting on horse racing. And you can see down and you hear the loud as a group of horses start to make their way around.
All right. Do we want to get down there? Flash our badge.
Sounds good. I guess whoever, maybe we can find the engineer that operates these
My audio cut
machines.
out.
Okay.
All right. Technical difficulties for anybody just tuning in now or tuning in the far future. We have a little technical issue, which is funny to have technical issues during a show called Scheduling Conflicts that comes up when we can't do our main games. There's a lot of layers to that are a little odd. All right, we're back. Yeah, you guys very quickly make your way across this sort of large area. If you've ever been in places like this, it's odd. It simultaneously feels empty and way too crowded for what it is. You make your way through certain areas and there's nobody around and you're like, how's this place? And then you turn the corner and there's 600 people queuing up and trying to get to seats. And you just sort of have to maneuver your way through. For those of you who've ever been to the Saratoga Raceway, could get that way. You sort of start to make your way to the gate with these edicts of divine justice. You approach and quickly find yourself dealing or behind a few other people that are sort of having half conversations with, people that work for this place. You kind of have to go to this secure area where people collect. This is the sort of collective secure things happen here. It's how you get to the horse paddock. It's how you get to the gate. It's where you pick up winnings that have passed a certain margin, right? If you win over, like 50 gold, you have to go collect it in person from one of these people. And you guys are sort of in the chaos of that area of this raceway.
What is your charm?
Flat 0.
All right, mine's -1, so you are the party phase here.
All right.
All right, Travailer Luke, I believe our best bet will be to speak to one of the employees and have them bring us to the stables.
Yeah, especially if we can find like an engineer that works on this place.
It's definitely worth noting. You can go based off your charm. You do also have the option. You have legitimately what you need to just get in there. So you could manipulate someone to get it with a tour very easily. You could also just roll like act under pressure to be like, I have a badge, I'm going inside. Right? It's a very different tactic. You might piss someone off, but that will also get you inside.
Yeah. Let's open with charm, and if that doesn't work, then we're gonna go past them.
Great. All right.
Okay.
I'll like.
Luke,
I'll
go
walk
ahead
up.
and you can tell me what the pitch is.
All right. I'll be like, hey there. We're with the trailers, looking at like the various like horse injuries and kind of mishaps and stuff around here, and got a couple leads. And we were hoping also to talk to the engineer or maintenance crew that kind of like keeps everything spick and span around here.
Okay.
Like maybe like one of the guys with the sharpest eyes might be of benefit.
Are you with the city watch? What are you talking about?
With the Travailers. We're kind of like a newer group helping
and now
with Resurgent.
Roll charm with a +1
All
additional. Right. This is basically just to see if he knows who you are. Because
All
if he doesn't,
right.
he might tell you to go pound sand.
Yeah, that's an 11 total.
An 11
hey,
total.
nice.
He goes, all right, certainly. Standing
Great.
to the side, he sort of stands to the side and opens a door with a set of sort of antiquated keys, letting you inside. You are walking into this. It's secure in that the door is locked and that there are people inside, but it's not like they're heavily armed. You're not stepping into the vault. You're going down to this like mechanical place where a couple of betting related things will happen, and where the sort of mechanisms for opening gates and setting up other things will happen. It's also like storage. You walk past some candle nights or whatever decorations that are stuffed off to the side. You see a couple of decorations for Ascension Day, the day that the city first took off to save them from the apocalypse. It's a lot of that kind of stuff mixed with these other things. He like has to occasionally step over stuff and goes, yeah, just break this way. We didn't receive any reports of maintenance issues. I'm not sure where you heard that. Bets here are, we haven't had any problems with anything like that. Things have been going pretty much normally. As he continues to make his way through and goes, if you're looking for gate access, he points up and across to where that sort of set of mechanisms is. And he goes, and I'll go grab somebody from maintenance. I'll grab the last few people to work on it.
Great, thank you.
But did you have anything you needed to report to us? We have no record of any major issues.
Yeah, mostly it seems like, I guess, a point of like sort of like subtle sabotage on the gate release mechanisms that I think seems to be like hardly noticeable, but probably like a little tune-up can help mitigate that.
How did you hear about this?
A little bit of like a vision with that new temple that kind of led us here, but kind of
All
a
right,
wonky
buddy.
one.
And
So.
he
Very
turns and
straightforward,
leaves.
Travailer Luke. I like it.
He goes, all right, buddy, and turns and leaves to go talk to maintenance. He thinks you're lying to him and that you have some other reason to be here. He wanders off, and you were free to look. You know he'll be back with the maintenance guy to answer your questions in a couple of minutes.
All right.
Stefan continues to tell the first person that asks him a question deep and dark, terrible secrets about
A god
Yes.
told me. Thanks.
I believe that. Yeah, you guys have this mini series of sort of gates to look at. You quickly identify what you saw before. It is truly unnoticeable. It's this in like the bare little corners of a few essential gears, there is this little barely perceptible smear of this like gritty, kind of sticky, tar-like material. You know, the kind of abrasive you use to like clean marble countertops. Just enough to set the timing off that barely perceptible amount.
Great. Well,
You can obviously look for other things. I'm just letting you know. You immediately notice what was in the vision and verify it as true.
All right. Vigil, I guess we can point that out when the engineers get here. And does it look like anyone else? I guess this might be one of the main crux places for all this bad luck, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was clearly happening all across town. This is just
It's everywhere.
the clue you have investigated.
yeah.
It does seem as though, you know, the bad luck is following proponents of the new god. So I think our next bet after we look here, this is still something a mortal being could use. But with that in mind, I think that our next best bet is probably going to be to visit Canal Kincaid.
Yeah. And I guess like, so this abrasive, are there any like vats of it here, or would it have been brought from another location to sabotage this?
Roll plus sharp.
All right, with a -1.
Damn.
From
Roll
that.
minus sharp.
Yeah. So a 7 total.
7 total. On a 7 to 9, you will get a little bit of information. Yeah, as you sort of get a closer look, it's not something that would be down here, but it occurs to you that it's familiar to you, and you feel like it's got this acrid smell that you smelled today, just a few minutes ago when you were making your way by the horse paddock. It's like a tar-like adhesive that is used on the bottom of horseshoes to like give them extra traction.
Okay, so maybe some sort of like anti-equilibrium followers, perhaps like tending some of the forces that was causing this disruption, perhaps.
Yeah, but it does tell you that whatever this thing, if it is a person, if it is something supernatural, it cannot conjure these materials to it. It is getting into some real, gremlins shit. Like, it is sabotaging.
Great. I guess I will point that out when the engineers get here then.
Okay. Vigil, did you want to do anything while the engineers are still on their way and Luke is sort of attending to that, or do you think Vigil's gotten what he's going to get?
Vigil's gotten what he's going to get here. He's more in the vein of talking to Canal at this point.
Absolutely. The sort of doorman comes back a little while later with an engineer in coveralls that are stained with, some grease, some odd bits and bobs, some like visible hay that has sort of punctured into parts that he hasn't taken the time to pluck out yet. He's wiping his hands off on his pants as he walks up and he goes, hey there, my name's Hannibal Ross. How can I help you? And he holds out his hand.
Hi, I'm Luke and this is Vigil. We're from the Travailers. We got like this little like god vision that the gate release mechanism has this like adhesive smear. You see it back here. Kind of like
over
messes
and
with
the security guard gives him a told you when you say we got a god vision and he goes, yeah, I can take a look, and he you see he like gets close. Well, I'll be, and he reaches out and wipes it down and goes, he's right. And the security guard like looks a little bit baffled and goes, yeah, no, I see what you're talking about there. And a god told you that?
Or not like told, but it was like a vision that we were granted earlier today.
That's not a god telling you. I don't know what is.
Yes.
I guess he looks over at the security guard and goes, guess we ought to pray to Callahan more.
I do have a question for you, engineer.
Yeah,
Who would have access?
I figured you didn't just point it out for my good pleasures. The engineers all have access. There's not too terrible many of us. Anybody who owns a horse has the right to come in here. They don't often, but they part of the rules of the raceway is you are allowed to inspect the equipment, and of course security does. So all told, I don't know, 40, 50 people would be able to get in here. 20 or so are in here all the time. Me, the rest of engineering, a couple of maintenance dudes are here pretty frequently.
I see. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Trevella Luke?
Does Canal Kincaid like work with any horses specifically here too?
Who is that?
Or
He's a farrier.
He's a farrier. Yeah, does he work with all the horses or have like specific ones?
I'm an engineer. He looks over at the security guy who goes, give me another 5 minutes. He turns and he quickly comes back with a list. As he starts flipping through, he goes, yeah, Canal Kincaid's on the list. He wouldn't be here. He would be over in the paddock where, you know, horses are shoed and taken care of. But no, yeah, Canel's around sometime. Why? Is he connected to all this? Do we need to go grab him?
Keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't hurt any of the horses, or even if he might be a target himself, perhaps.
Target of
We're
what?
not sure. We heard that he had a problem with the church, but we don't have any evidence that he's done anything wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Can I ask what's going on?
It's a string of bad luck in the area that is seeming more and more like worse than bad luck. So we are doing our duty and trying to figure out what's causing it.
You see he goes to say something snide and looks over at your shoulder at the grease. He goes, yeah, we'll keep an eye on Canal. He turns and makes his way out the door. I assume you two following pretty closely behind.
Yeah, off to Canal.
Yeah.
All right. You make your way with the information you get from that security guard. Whew. I'm so sorry about the yawning. It is so late. It's not. It's like 9, but I'm wiped. You make your way to Canal Kincaid's home. I say home. He's a farrier. Canal Kincaid's
His office?
His apartment, probably.
Yeah.
You make your way to Canal Kincaid's apartment, basically. He doesn't seem to be working today. Otherwise, the security guard would have told you, oh, he's working right now. You make your way over to Kincaid's apartment. You see that he's less than an apartment, more like a duplex. He's like living in one of those like split homes and is on one side of it. How do you approach? You get up to the building. You know that it's his. He doesn't seem... You have no... It's still the middle of the day, so it's kind of hard to tell if he's home or not at this point. Do you knock on the door? Do you break in? What do you do?
I am not stealthy, Travailer Luke, so I will not be breaking in. But I'd be happy to knock on the door and talk with him if you want to break in.
I guess we could probably talk to him for now. I don't think there's a way of like sneaking in the back here, is there? Or
Vigil, do you have wings? Do you have that ability?
Yeah, I can teleport.
So if you want inside, if you want to knock
It's
on the door
just-
and talk to him, there you go. If you don't, you could and just teleport inside. You have to roll though.
yeah.
Yeah, I can do it for a person I know well or a place I've visited before. But I don't know him well enough yet. After I talk to him, maybe.
Maybe we can get a look inside, and that'll help if we need to return here in a couple hours.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
You knock on the door, tap, tap, to tap, tap. And just a few moments later, it opens up. And you see a young man. He seems to be about, mid to late 20s. Sort of a shock of red hair coming up off the top of his head. A handlebar mustache that is way too waxed and, like, curled at the tips to the point that it's like a little cartoonish. Opens the doors and goes, hello! Can I
Hey
help
there.
you, gentlemen?
Yeah, we were hoping to chat with you about like the various like bad luck occurrences and kind of like your take on the building of the temple. Like Madison Doyle did say that you kind of like wanted like those funds spent to improve the city more, right? Kind of like focus on some other problems that have
Who
been
are
kind of
you?
plaguing you. Luke and Vigil, the Travailers, were just investigating the whole mishaps and things. Wanted to make sure you're okay too, and Any
Roll
kind of like insight you have?
plus charm.
All right. Wow. Okay.
You guys just opened the door, and one of you had a big hammer, and you just started talking. And he was like,
An 11 at least.
an 11. He goes, oh, I've heard of you guys. Okay, you're the ones that killed those legally distinct chaos frogs. Sure. Do you want to come inside?
That'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. He steps out of the way and sort of lets you in. You walk into this sort of like front foyer sort of mudroomy area, and then as he moves deeper inside, you see a well-maintained but incredibly small place here. This duplex is like the equivalent of 2 one-bedroom apartments glued together at the middle. Probably a larger home that has been sort of artificially sawed into 2 places to stay. He walks in and goes, yeah, I mean, go ahead and you can have a seat. As far as bad luck occurrences, I've certainly heard my fair share of woes in the area. I myself haven't had to deal with too much. I mean, I burnt my eggs this morning, but that's about the worst I've had. As far as the temple, I just don't... I mean, yeah, I can get into it a little bit. If you want to hear the whole spiel, I've got some literature about why I think it's a waste of money. We got a crumbling neighborhood with a bad economy and not enough places to live, and they're building a temple to some dead god of equations or whatever. It just seems like a poor use of cash to me, that's all.
Understandable. Yeah, we could definitely take a look at the literature if you have some that we could read in
you see,
next couple of times.
Can't believe somebody has asked for it, and he runs into one of the back rooms and comes back with a pretty chunky 10-page pamphlet and hands it to you, and it's like a critique of a couple of different legal, what do you call, it's like a law but it doesn't matter, edicts from the local area, and one of them is the reconstruction of the temple, and there's a few others, and the pamphlet basically seems to find issue and take umbrage with all of the edicts that have come out in the last 6 months, categorically, and the temple is just one of them.
Okay.
So, Canel, if you don't mind me asking, do you worship Canelm? Do you worship any gods? Yes or no?
No, I don't believe in fairies. No. Well, and he points at you, and he goes, "I'll tell you what. Until a couple of months ago, I didn't really concern myself with it much. I figured they died, a million years ago. I didn't think about it. What do you think? What do you think of wyverns? You know what I mean? It's like, don't know, never seen one.
Scary.
I hear. Okay, what do you? He points to Luke. What do you think of wyvern? You read about them in books. That was my full experience with the spirits, the gods, whatever you want to call them. I read about them in a book every once in a while, and then all of a sudden, big bastards like you started showing up. People started getting their prayers answered. And the way I see it, if they abandoned us for a good couple hundred years, no offense, I just don't see why we should be taking the food out of people's mouths to build them temples and whatnot.
I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, so
Fully understandable.
I don't worship any in particular. I mean, I pay service to I can't remember his name. The god of one of the gods of growth that keeps the food in the city growing. That guy's great. Again, he kind of just does it. He doesn't demand that people pray and supplicate, spend money, and build him a temple. He just takes care of the people. So makes it kind of hard for somebody to come around asking for money and for me to be excited about it.
Yeah. And
Yes.
Oh, do you know particularly with these lists of grievances that you have, are there any kind of reputable people in the city specifically kind of bankrolling these kind of upgrades and stuff, or are they all kind of things that people have been kind of trending towards for these edicts?
I mean, if you want to get real, can I ask why y'all are asking me? I can tell you about the local political situation, but if that's what you really want to know about. But if there's something else I just don't want to waste your time. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, our local senator, Jothan Redmond, is just kind of a douche. He's in with a lot of the businesses in the area. He does a lot of deals with the blood syndicates. Everybody knows that's how he made his money. I'm not a huge fan of the guy's policies. He goes into a very long diatribe into the details and nuances of local politics. This figure named Jothan Redmond, who is like kind of a pain, who basically like got senators aren't elected by the people of the area that live there. They are appointed by the city council. And so Jothan was just put in charge of this area and now makes decisions for people. Sometimes it's a very symbiotic thing, but Jothan seems largely concerned with revitalizing the local economy by making huge payouts to people that he does business with. Mm-hmm. That seems to be what Ken Elm is taking umbrage with. So for the record, he will talk as long as you will listen and has like a lot of stuff to talk about. It quickly occurs to you, you are tapping into a larger and different problem.
All right.
Have you had reason to enter any of the pre-running stalls of the horses in the last few weeks? The lockup before they start running?
Oh, I'm not allowed in that area. I work on the horses when they're still out and about. I mean, we've had a couple of mishaps, so I've had, people searching my stuff a lot lately because, we had a couple of horses break legs. We had a couple fall sick. We had a couple that were juiced, like they were on stimulants that nobody seemed to be able to recollect giving them. Some stuff like that. There's been a lot of that going around, but that stuff's always going around.
And when people came in to search your items, did anything go missing?
Are you saying someone's doing all this luck nonsense?
Potentially.
Yeah, we did just find a little bit of sabotage with the gates at the horse races. So there was some of like that tar you use for their horse hooves and things in the mechanism itself that was like altering the timing. So we were trying to kind of like narrow down who's been.
I did have a tin of that go missing out of my bag.
Do you know when?
He says the date that would line up with when that horse race happened.
And
I don't even know what the calendar is for the city.
Who would have had access to your stables on that day?
To the stables, a lot of people. To my bag?
To your bag.
Not a lot. I mean, I keep it on me most of the time. I would have to have been working on something. It would have been right by me, though. That was what was the confusion of it all. I had been using it, and I turned around, and it wasn't there. I didn't see anybody who grabbed it. The stall's mine. I rent it. You basically, and he goes into the logistics of how he is paid and how it is unfair. And so somebody would have had to walk right by me and grabbed it.
All right. And do you know, like, I guess, like, it seems like people, like, within, like, the center of the quarter near the temple itself have been having, like, bad luck as far as, like, bets go, but have you seen anyone, like, that kind of has really anticipated this kind of, like, string of, like, good luck, bad luck, and has been really flaunting their wins at this horse races? Like, maybe even anyone connected to the senator, or...
I mean, there's, a couple of rich shits that are always happy when they win and don't care when they lose, but no, nobody's been... I mean, if you win too big too many times while you're betting, you don't keep betting. Somebody escorts you out of the facility, you know what I mean? I mean, sometimes people win, but if you win too big too many times in a row, you are asked firmly to leave. So, not really.
I'm wondering if a certain horse has been being put into that lockup to get the quicker launch, or the slower launch, I suppose.
I mean, all that. What horses win what races is all public record. I mean, you could get that information. I mean, here he reaches off and grabs a newspaper off the thing and flips it open to a page with race results. And it's got the race results for the last, 3 weeks, because that's just published in the paper. And you look, and it's different horses that sort of end up in that gate. It just, Vigil specifically, that it lines up with these random bets. There's not one particular very magical horse.
Yeah. And this is just one bad luck thing in this entire city.
Yeah,
of places burning down.
Yeah, I've got to be. You
this
guys are really fixated on these horses, and I don't know why. You've got this place that burned down. You've got this telegraph tower that broke down. You've got this dude that got into an accident in a place with trolley cars and horses. Like, it's weird to die of an accident. You've got all of those things that are going wrong in the temple. Don't get super squirrely about this one rigged horse race, please. You are running out of things that have to do with the horse race that are helpful.
The unfortunate thank you for your time. I don't think I have anything else for you.
Sweet.
Traveler Luke.
Yeah, I guess we'll kind of keep on digging into this, and hopefully there'll be a little bit more stability that will come to the city here.
Do you guys want to sign my petition to get Jothan Redmond?
As government officials, we're unable to sign petition.
I thought that maybe your name would carry a little extra weight. Are you sure?
Fair. Unfortunate.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
You leave refusing to sign this dude's petition about hyper-local politics and make your way back out into the street.
As we step out, I'm going to say, Traveler Luke, I'm not sure who else to question. It seems that this is a spirit in the night, changing out items, grabbing things from bags when people aren't looking, stuffing a blanket within the flue of a fireplace. I think we can investigate a couple of the other locations, but it seems we have quite a stealthy proponent of the anti-God stance on our hands.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how we can even catch them with their kind of like hand in the cookie jar, like whether there's like some sort of like way to maybe like lure them out or anything and then catch them.
Potentially. We could see if there are other members of the church that have not fallen on hard times.
For those of you, for those listening now and in the future, we are part of a Delta Green game that has been going on for a while, so I feel the need to reiterate to the two of you, you're not FBI agent. Like, you can just go set a trap for a little goblin and kill it. Like, you don't need to, keep in mind, supernatural things are not only likely, they are the genre of the game that we are playing, and B, you don't need to get enough evidence to convict a demon. Like, you can just go kill it and then you're good. Your guys' job is to solve the problem. Your guys' job isn't to turn state's evidence and like get them locked up.
Yeah. I think our best bet is going to be...
This is the problem with having a D&D game and a Call of Cthulhu game, and is you start to sort of blur a little bit.
I think that we should go back to the church, find somebody who's not fallen on hard times, and try and set up a stakeout with one of them.
Sounds good.
That rips. Love that. Okay. So you guys sort of start poking around looking for people who have not befallen any woeful luck. Sweet. So you guys just head back to the church. You see the same group of people making their prayers. You see that despite the fact that it is many long hours later, Philo McCord remains here making his prayers, seemingly hoping for some salvation. And you see a few other people, a few new faces sort of making their way around. How do you try to suss out who hasn't had this sort of woeful luck yet?
I'm gonna say for Vigil, he'll be looking for people who are in higher spirits. They're not necessarily making constant offerings. They're just in the space doing other things.
Yeah, totally. Go ahead and roll plus sharp.
That is a 9.
A 9? Yeah, sure. So that will get you 1, which is just all the information that you need. Yeah, you see one of these folks does seem to be helping with repairs, talking to some other people, all around in pretty good spirits. Not sort of praying for themselves, mainly focused on sort of assisting others. You see that they are a human. It's a fantasy, and I'm looking at the list, and I just had such a brain fart. Oh my goodness. On
Bimbledum Squee.
I know, I did almost just Boblin the Goblin, you guys. I have a real name for this person, and I started trying to come up with one for no reason.
Oh.
Today has been too long.
I like the name Bimbledum Squee. I'm just putting it out there.
Though. Oh my goodness. Yeah, right up there with the horse earlier.
Yeah.
The horse
Bim
was
Shimbles.
Bim Shimbles. Hell yeah, Ethan. Fucking sick horse name, dude. My next character in your campaign, Spencer, is Bim Shimbles. You can count on it.
Bim Shimbles. I'm
This
ready for one.
person's real name that was in my notes that I didn't need to make up is Hester Luden. They're totally
Hester Luden.
they just exist. You walk up to Hester. Hester is an older woman. She seems to be maybe in her late 50s, early 60s, who is helping around the area in very good spirits and already has a name I already had written down. How do you approach Hester?
I walk up. I'm going to have to ask her name, even though out of character I do know it's Hester now.
As you
I
walk
walk up and say, hello.
You hear as you walk up, you hear Madison going, Hester, it's always so good to have you helping here. Everybody, a round of applause for Hester Luden, so that you hear her full name logically in the chat as you approach.
Hester, I hate to break you off from this group of revelry, but
Hello?
me and my friendly Travailer here, I'm Travailer Vigil, this is Travailer Luke. We were hoping to ask you a couple of questions.
Of course, anything for a real, genuine angel, like stories from when I was a girl. She walks over to talk to the two of you, and you see that Madison, heavily rolls her eyes. All of the people that aren't Madison Doyle seem very down with having this sort of celestial help in a way that she is somewhat more chagrined by. Hester goes, can I help you too? I'm afraid that of our happy little congregation here, I really haven't suffered much.
Well, that's sort of the good news for us, is that you've not suffered. We are hoping to catch whoever or whatever's causing this sort of calamity amongst the church. And we need a member of the church itself who's not fallen on hard times to help us set up a bit of a sting.
Let me draw her personality trait here so that we can sort of see what we're dealing with. Okay. I drew drama and instrument. Love that. So she goes, ooh, a sting operation. That's really rather fun. Certainly, I suppose I can, if it'll help the city, I'll walk under some pianos on strings and kick a couple of black cats if that's what you need. What did you have in mind?
Well, what is your business? Your career?
I'm a seamstress.
A seamstress.
Yes.
And your business has been doing very well?
Yes, absolutely. We've had pretty much no major issues. Granted, I'm a little further from the temple than some of the others. We haven't had really much in the way of misfortune. We had the only issue we had a district. We had a quilt that had won the district fair went missing just about when things got started.
I reach into my bag and I pull out and I say, "This quilt?"
My goodness, yes, you found it.
Here you go.
It's really, really burnt. She turns it and there's this huge soot-stained corner. And she goes, good gravy, what happened?
It was found in a building that had been burned down inside the flue of the chimney.
Yeah.
No.
I think you'll have to air it out as well.
Mason Fry's place? This is why? Oh,
It seems.
Poor Mason. Well, I'm so sorry. Something so beautiful used for so dark a purpose. She folds it up.
So, my thought is you can start spreading word around town that you've gotten a shipment of fine silk or incredible thread count linen, and you're going to be making a brand new version of this blanket. And it will be sold for a very high price, etc., etc., etc. It'll be a big to-do. And with that, we will find whoever it is attempting to sully your good business when they attempt to steal it from you.
I do think I do need you to roll manipulate someone, because at the end of the day you are asking her to sort of endanger her business.
Yeah,
I'll give
fair.
you far more rare than the +1. I will give you advantage where you roll 3 dice and take the 2 higher, because I think your tactic has been perfect. I drew drama for her personality trait, so she would be very interested. I think your chance of success should be high.
Okay. That is an 11 minus 110.
An 11 minus 110. They'll do it for the reason that you gave them. Yeah, she is excited by the idea and the drama of it all. She goes, "Oh, I must be honest. I really do find this rather exciting. Certainly, I'll say that one of the ghost rights that went down to the surface came back with a trunk of draconian linens. Oh, this is gonna be wonderful." And she starts to cue it up. My goodness, a ghost with a Ritz cracker. She goes, fabulous. Yes, that'll be good. That'll be a good time. Draconian linens. My grandmother used to tell me stories about them. That'll definitely catch a couple of ears and some attention.
Perfect.
Absolutely. And you can swing by the shop this evening. I live right above it, so it shouldn't be too hard to stake it out. Ooh.
Perfect.
Great.
We'll
I guess
see you
we'll-
tonight.
I'll put on tea. She walks off to go start sort of spreading the news.
That went
go-
incredibly well, Travailer Luke. I'm not gonna lie. She bought in very quickly. I'm surprised.
Mhm.
Perhaps
Yeah.
somebody is having a bit of good luck. Ba-da-da.
It's us. So, is there anything else we want to do in the meantime?
I guess just probably prep for the stakeout then. Do we need to like get any sort of like enchanted thread to like have like as an alarm for the place for detecting the creature, or just kind of
Hilarious
like
question.
lots of supplies, I guess, just to sit out,
Sure.
like get a couple books.
Just to note, we're playing Monster of the Week. If you want a magical alarm, you're not going to go buy it. You're going to make it. You're going to roll use magic. Like I
Alright.
said, important note at the beginning, you two are the experts. There's not a better person to call. You are the Ghostbusters. There's not a better monster crew that you can be like, do you have any magic thread to solve our problem? Like,
What?
It's you two.
What's your weird?
+2.
All right, it's gonna be you.
It's so funny
All
that
right.
the literal angel has a worse weird than Luke
Yeah,
does.
+1 weird. I'm an angel in sort of the avenging style of angel, not
Pretty-
sort of the
Pretty tepid.
smart.
It's like, oh, what
Yeah.
miracles have you done? And you're like, I killed a guy real good.
Cut somebody's head off, and that was kind of crazy. It was with a knife
I
and not a sword.
I bisected a man down the center line, and that's sort of the biggest one lately.
I think
Very-
it was a miracle.
Yes, very equilibrium there.
All right, let's I guess gather the items necessary to create a magical thread.
Yeah, if you guys
Yeah,
want to
and
make
we'll-
a trap, just tell me what the trap looks like. We're starting obviously with magical thread, trying to like concoct it from these ingredients. This will basically be a montage as you guys tell me what you're doing, and we assign checks to what you're doing.
Here's what I think. I think that the alarm to trigger us to let us know when somebody's entered is one option. I think a tracking thread might be more useful if we have her knit it into the blanket.
Yeah.
So spicy. Great magical effect. I'm trying to look at, and I think that it fits pretty neatly into observe another place or time. I think that you guys sort of continue to go back to that well. So
Hmm.
just cut me a little piece of the scene then. The two of you talk about this, and Vigil talks about this tracking thread. Just cut me a little scene of you guys getting the materials together to make this happen.
Yeah, I think that Vigil is of the mind that to follow something, it needs to be something that you know well. It's similar to the Angel Wings ability he has, where if it's somebody or someplace you've been or seen before, you can follow it. So this thread has to be made out of something that is connected to Vigil and Luke. So I'm going to go back to our headquarters, our small office in the governmental building, and the capes we were given. I'm going to grab 2 threads from each of our capes, the Travailer's capes, tie them together, and that'll be our base item to thread in.
So you walk down to this, second basement level, small office that the two of you occupy and get these threads. Luke, what are you getting a hold of while Vigil goes to get these threads with which you are so familiar?
I guess kind of maybe leaning into Hester Luden's idea of getting the draconic thread. I'll actually, I guess, rummage some up from maybe like Uptown area where they might have some more materials that are valuable, and like just ask for a couple samples and bring those with us to help like weave in there and use that as like the main kind of like resonant focus, I guess.
Yeah, so you get a hold of this, the weird materials that make up this project, and as you get together, you start to like braid these threads together while enchanting them with the little vestiges of magic that you can enact. Luke, go ahead and make a use magic roll.
All right.
Can I help out?
Yes, say it right now before Stefan tells us if he succeeds or not.
Okay.
10.
10. Then yes, you can help. You just sort of helping with the enchantment, going to find that item, channeling in a little bit of divine power. Luke, you can add with a 10, you can add an additional +1.
All right. That's a 12 total then.
Holy crap. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So the magic works without issues. Choose your effect, which it sounds like, I think the closest thing is observe another place or time. You will be able to track whatever has this quilt. You reveal this plan to Hester, and she goes, so I'm actually making a quilt?
Small one.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we could like refurbish the burnt one, perhaps.
That's a better. It's going to take a really long time to make one fresh. You see, she takes that quilt and starts meticulously like seam ripping out the panels that are burnt and fixing it. At the same time, the two of you, Vigil has his like hair up and is scrubbing the other side to get the smoke smell out. As Luke, you are, I suppose
making some herbs maybe to cover the smell.
A poultice to spot rub on stains to make this thing look brand new. The three of you work late into the afternoon and into the evening until you're finally done, and you two and Hester Luden stand back to see this beautiful quilt fully restored, looking glorious, with a notable red row of stitches going across one of them, reflecting those capes of yours. Excuse me. You have this perfect piece of bait. The news has been spread. Are there any other elements to this trap that you guys want to set up in these last few precious moments?
I mean, should we kind of just like hunker down to see if we can at least get an eye on what's going to take it? Oh, did Spencer freeze?
Yeah, Spencer may have frozen. Sorry, we're having a lot.
And you're back.
Yeah, we've had a lot of technical issues today, so apologies for that. We are doing our best. These last-minute streams are fun because they're kind of loose. So, what other elements of the trap do you guys want to fold in, or is it just set it up so that this thing steals this thing?
Yeah, Vigil wants to hide any trace of us having been here.
Absolutely.
I don't want this person to think that we are, waiting to grab them.
Totally. Roll plus cool as you try to sort of carefully make your way through acting under pressure in this situation.
6.
A 6. Yeah. As you are continuing to move around, you clean up the main area, sort of nodding knowingly to yourself. You feel like you really nailed it. You shut the door and turn back to walk inside, and what you don't see that the audience does is a perfect boot print in this ridiculously large size.
Size 15.
Yeah, these like size 15 combat boots. There is a giant footprint in the mud. So any creature that arrives, they might still come inside. They will totally know that somebody big and dangerous is inside the building.
All right.
But you don't know that. You go inside and you say, clean as hell, boys.
All right, I'm going to head up to a sitting room upstairs, so I'm not down here where the blanket is.
I think...
and the result of that, Vigil, will just be you will have a -1 to go unnoticed by whatever shows up.
All right, I think I might just like find the bundle of like quilts and like the spare things and just like hide myself under a bundle, just like watching the quilt tonight
Absolutely. You
and
like
try to stay awake.
burrowing under in this corner. Go ahead and roll. Ooh, that's toughy. Maybe plus sharp? Maybe plus cool? I don't know. What do you think? It's kind of hard for me to guess. I think you have the time. I think you're just fine.
Okay.
Right? Nah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to... in the moment, you'll have to make a check about it, I guess. If Vigil had succeeded, you would be functioning with a +1 to sneak up on this creature because he fumbled, where you're functioning with a -1. I think that Luke, because this won't really mechanically come up until you actually are sneaking up on the creature, I think it's mostly flavor at this point. There's not much else to it, right? Okay, great. At that same time, you see that Hester Luden is in the process of painstakingly, like, loop stitching fishing line to try to make a net, and she's like, I might be done in time. And she continues to sort of work on it. She's just really getting into the fiction.
Hester, I'll tell you what, it's cool either way.
I know.
Regardless, interesting.
It's kind of fun. And you set this ambush and prepare yourselves. Luke is hiding under a giant pile of blankets and fabric. Vigil, what does your approach look like? Are you just upstairs?
I go upstairs. I'm at the top of the steps, leering down. And
Just
that's it.
Looking huge, staring down. You see that Hester goes, all right, boys, best of luck. And you watch as she turns the corner, opens a linen closet, takes a double-barrel shotgun down from the top, shuts the door, goes into a room and sits in a rocking chair with this huge, like, 10-gauge, just slowly rocking back and forth.
Whatever our money is, I leave a small pouch of it on, like, in front of her door.
Holy shit. Yeah, you leave Hester a little nest egg as you two...
A real ride or die.
Hester's in. Hester's sold. Absolutely. Yeah, time passes, and eventually you do hear a little jiggling, a little click, 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 and then the door unlocks. It swings open. And it appears to be empty. The door just opens. Luke and Vigil, in the positions you're in, you hear very soft footsteps. Something is moving through the space, but it is invisible. Go ahead and roll plus sharp, one of you. Whoever probably has the best plus sharp.
I got a +1.
Yeah, I've got a +2 and a -1. So...
Oh yeah, because your vision has been fuzzed.
You roll because I got something I'm gonna do.
All right.
Oh, my hammer. Like a legally distinct lightning hammer.
All right. I got a 10.
A 10. It takes a very sharp set of ears. You don't hear one set of footprints. You hear two.
All right.
Very hard to tell when you can't actually tell exactly where they are moving, but you hear two sets of footprints, footpads, as two things are sort of making their way into the space. Quickly, as you two are moving in Vigil, you start to like turn the corner to be able to see. If you get any closer, we're going to get into roll territory. You begin to watch this whole shop get those same little sabotages. You see a pillow that is like fine silken pillow for a bed. You see a couple of seams rip so that the next time somebody lays on it, feathers are going to go poof out the side. You see they start relatively harmless in that way. You see there's a bunch of needles stabbed into one of those little felt tomatoes that come in sewing kits, and you see something takes all the needles out and sticks them in the other way so that the sharp ends are...
What an asshole.
You see
brutal.
One a small thimble gets flipped upside down, and a little bit of powder suddenly materializes that's getting dropped inside that has a really horrible, thick smell. And then you start to see things get a little darker as they continue. You see that there's like a little kitchenette with like a little utensil thing, and you see that all of the knives that are blade down, handle up, get flipped so that they're knife up. And then you see that one of the burners on the stove starts to glow red, like it's been turned on, and is starting to get pretty uncomfortably hot, and a kitchen towel is draped over the top of it as another one begins to move over, and you see this beautiful quilt that has been restored. One of the little pins, something is fussing with it. But Hester, knowing the plan, secured the pin is like tied and closed shut, so something is sort of fidgeting with it. Ball's in your guys' court. What do you do?
I'm going to use my angel wings ability and instantly teleport at the front door, like behind it, so they can't see me. But if they try and run out, I'll be standing there.
Yeah, totally. Roll act under pressure with a -1.
Ooh, 10.
10 with a -1?
I rolled an 11, yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, you get low so that you can see where you're going, and you just silently reemerge there. Your foot perfectly in the boot print that you left behind earlier.
I left this behind.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no, but you perfectly occupying that same space. The door is still slightly ajar. If these things turn and try to run the same way, you'll be right there. So it sounds like we smash cut inside to Luke. Luke, the moment has come. Do you guys have... If you didn't have a plan for what to do right now, pretend to. What do you do, Luke?
I guess I will, like, shuffle over and turn off the, like, just humming to myself. I'll just go, go over to the, I'll be like, oh, that's on, and turn off the oven, the stove with the fire.
So you, wait a minute. We like to have fun.
In the headspace.
You, hidden under all these blankets, just stand up, walk across the room humming, and turn the burner off?
Like, just to be as dissonant as possible to, like, the conceit of these creatures causing havoc. I just want to try to, like, focus in on creating some order, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I tell you what happens. You stand up, and the minute the fabric comes off your head, you hear... and a bunch of incredibly fast footsteps. One of them opens the door. Vigil, you're standing right there with this invisible thing, assumably in front of you. You hear it go, and then another set of really fast footprints, and then the window next to you, Vigil, with nothing going through it, just shatters outwards, glass spewing out into the street. What do you do?
Did they grab the big blanket at this point, or did they never get it down from
Luke, did you wait until they had gotten the blanket all the way down?
Oh, definitely. If should I do a cool for that?
Did you wait?
Yeah, like, definitely.
What you did was wild, but it's just, did you wait until they got the quilt all the way down, or while they were still halfway through it, did you stand up?
Yeah, well, definitely, because, like, the quilt, we need to, like, find their lair, so I would have definitely waited for that.
So you see that they had, like, one side down, so they run, and the one that jumps through the window you see is dragging about 15 feet of clothesline with it as it runs outside this very long rope. Like, swats around, flings, goes off the edge of a chair, breaks a lamp as it runs outside. Vigil, do you do anything with this one that you know is in front of you?
I hit it with my fucking huge hammer.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll to kick some ass. While this creature is invisible, you have a running -1.
$10.
10. Absolutely. Okay. You and whatever you're fighting inflict harm on each other. On a 10+, choose one extra effect. Do you want to gain the advantage and get +1 forward? Do you want to inflict terrible harm, suffer less harm, or force them where you want them?
I want to force them where I want them, which is at Travailer Luke.
Yes, you swing and golf swing downward into the chest of this creature. As you do, you feel it lose its sense of breath. As you do, you just feel this odd moment as the hammer contacts it. Your weight shifts uncomfortably, and your elbow hyperextends at the end of the thing, and you feel pins and needles shoot up your arm. Take 1 harm, ignore armor.
Rough. All right.
And
it takes...
spins across the room. Luke, you feel a small, invisible creature slam into your chest. Vigil, how much damage does it take?
It takes 3 harm, and it also has the traits Stun and Holy.
So Luke, this thing sticks into your chest, lands on the ground, and you, although you can't see it, hear this like da 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 as it is twitching on the ground, and one of its feet keeps kicking the ground.
All right.
You hear this like from this thing being electrocuted.
I will use magic to like kind of like focus on that like cosmic painting and like imagine like whatever like pigments and stuff that this creature might have to try to like reveal its invisible form.
You fucking splotch paint it.
Yeah, totally. Go ahead and roll use magic.
All right. That's a 10.
Yeah, I think the closest thing here would be to trap a specific person, minion, or monster. You begin to see this form start to come into reality, and you see a small creature that's halfway between a crow and a dog. And this is what we would know in this world as a goblin. Goblins in this world aren't little green-skinned, big-eared men. They're sort of Henson Workshop-style amalgam creatures.
Nice.
So you see this thing with, like, the head of a crow and the body and lower legs of a dog standing on its hind feet, but with human arms coming out of the sides, and it's just, like, twitching on the ground, being electrocuted. Like just losing its mind.
Good.
This cloth pin finally sticks into the window and then snaps as the other thing gets away with that cloth.
I'm gonna begin moving towards it. I'm not sure if it's gonna get a turn before I do,
So
but I'm going to
outside?
attempt. No, towards the one that I hit with the hammer.
It's stunned. And there's there is no initiative, there is no turns. I'm just sort of factoring that in. I respond to your guys' actions.
Yeah.
And so far it was a successful check to knock it out and a successful check to reveal it. It is knocked out and revealed. Vigil, you approach. What do you do? Do you crush it Gallagher style like a watermelon? Do you put little handcuffs on it? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have little handcuffs, but I will walk up and grab him.
Yeah, you are surrounded by
air.
rope and fabric and string.
Yeah,
and...
that'll do it. I'll grab him. I'll try and keep him restrained, and then maybe Luke can grab some fabric to tie him up.
Yeah, I'll say in this situation, I'm going to say no roll required. You have him stunned. You succeeded on both those checks. It's visible. You just, like, grab this little thing, and it's the size of, like, a toddler. Like, it's very easy to just scoop it and pick it up. It is evidently very weak. You see that it is covered in, like, little makeshift clothing, some of which seems to be stitched together like doll and teddy bear clothes, that are full of matchsticks and seam rippers and a couple of forks and some steak knives, some dice that as you like are fiddling around with what's in its pockets, every time you roll the dice in your hand they come up snake eyes. Like this thing is just loaded with all kinds of little trinkets that it could use to cause chaos.
Listen here, thing. We have questions to ask you.
This little bird beak whips up at you. What?
We don't want to kill you, but we do have questions.
I wish I knew how bad that voice sounded to people listening over stream. It's just kind of,
Oh.
questions.
Who do you work for?
The GM has to pull something up quick.
That's a good start. I guess that maybe even as a recompense, perhaps this thing could start working at the temple to repair it after we're done questioning.
I don't know if he's going to be very skilled at that.
I love... There is something deeply funny to me about the fact that Stefan seems pretty convinced that in a non-police state, pre-democracy world, that you can tell somebody, do community service, and that they won't just go, all right, and then leave that place and go one town over, and everybody will be like, who's this newcomer? It's like running away from your family in the 30s, where you're like, I changed my name and moved one town away, and it's like I started a new life. You see, he goes, I can't tell you nothing, it's against the Goblin Code.
What are the rules of the Goblin Code?
A true goblin never does as he's told, never tells as he's done, and never follows a rule, least of all this one.
All right. Don't tell me who you work for. I don't want to hear it.
It would be a real shame, yeah.
Never does as he's told, never tells as he's done, never follows the rule. I've done. Wick works for the Goblin King!
Goblin King. Interesting.
But I'm not Wick,
Interesting.
I'm Spark!
Ah. And that one that ran by, I'm going to assume. Wick.
No!
Alright. Good to know. Alright. Question 2.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Why are you destroying stuff and burning stuff down? Is it just for fun?
Never does as he's told, never does as he's done. What have I done it? You see looking around, like, wiggles and can't get out, and he goes, I've never done anything bad in my entire life. Wick did it because the God of Order could be a bit of a problem. Little issue.
That's fair.
So if we
That's
sabotage
fair.
them, they'll leave. If Wick sabotages them, they'll leave. And you see, as he accidentally says "we," you begin to watch as a couple of his feathers start to like smolder and smoke starts to like gently come off of him until he goes, "Wick does," and then they go out.
Ah, I see. Luke, do you have any questions?
I guess just I mean, if the Goblin King's reign, I guess if the Goblin King was to like write a book of his reign, like, when would it have ended?
What? This little goblin doesn't understand what you're going for.
I'm trying to inverse to like ask him like how long this Goblin King has been here, but I guess
A true goblin never does as he's told, never tells as he's
When-
done, he never follows the rule. Least of all, least one. And he reaches out and tries to bite Vigil.
When was the last time when was the first time Wick saw the Goblin King?
When Wick was born, when Wick was first created, one of the oldest and most ancient of the goblins. 1 month ago.
1 month. All right, interesting. Cool. Out of character. Goblins in this world are evil, irredeemable beings.
A goblin in this world is just a little bit of raw elemental chaos that happened to come to life. A goblin in this world is like a quark. It's just something that what it is. For the record, we have made this canon about Prospect. Anytime a part of the world gets too orderly for too long, goblins start to appear there. They just start to exist. It's completely random. It's completely basic. It's the same way that kobolds just sort of start existing near dragons. The dragons don't do anything. They don't climb out of eggs. It's just if you wait long enough, the lizards that are nearby a dragon's lair start to turn into kobolds. Goblins literally will just step out of the shadows in places where law and order have gotten too strict.
With that in mind, I am going to slam him into the ground, trying to kill him.
A goblin never does this. Whack!
Oh.
He never does this. He's whack! Leave him all this whack! And he dies. As he does,
Ugh.
you see he explodes into feathers.
Well, and I wipe my hands off on my vestments.
Yes, you.
It seems that we're looking for the Goblin King, and we have a thread leading us right to him.
yeah. Are you ready to head out then, or?
Well,
I'm ready to use angel wings, baby.
the GM
All right,
has
let
a
me-
question.
Mhm.
It's 10 o'clock. Is this where we wrap up our jolly adventure, or do you want to try to kill the Goblin King in the next 30 minutes?
That's gonna have to be where we end. I gotta get up early tomorrow.
Okay, I figured.
right.
I meant to establish that at the beginning. So, as you have dispatched with Spark and are ready to chase Wick down to find the Goblin King, which probably just a Goblin King who can
Just an older
say-
goblin.
Yeah, just a goblin older than the 1 month old Goblin Wick. As you prepare with this beautiful trap set, the wonderful Hester Luden, now a permanent ally of the team, this mystery investigated, I think we are ready to pitch off there. Stefan, you seemed to have a closing thought. Do you want to get it in before we...
I just want to finish making sure to turn off the stove and get the thing off of there before it starts burning.
In the background of Vigil spiking a goblin into the ground, Luke turns off the thing, stitches up that pillow, hangs up the other thing, puts all of the pins and the knives back in that background. With that, I will say to those of you watching now and in the future, thank you so much for tuning into Scheduling Conflicts. Anytime one of our streams is canceled, and we have enough people to make it happen, Scheduling Conflicts is what takes its place, so keep tuned. It's sort of you're gonna have to really sort of speak the name of the wind, commune with the breeze to know when we will solve the rest of this mystery. But, to be perfectly frank, we have Scheduling Conflicts relatively frequently, so it might not really be all that long. With that, I don't know the closing spiel as well, so I'm going to kick it back over to Spencer to wrap us up.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining in this week. Thanks for getting us to 20,000 likes on TikTok. Huge accomplishment. Thanks for the gifts, for the views, for the follows, etc. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on TikTok, where we post advice and D&D lore and funny videos. You can follow our streams, where every Tuesday we do a Theros 5e actual play, a Greek myth-inspired game, with us all playing. I'm the DM. We have a couple other players as well. We're getting towards the end of that one, so we're going to be starting a new campaign fairly soon. But you can catch that stream every Tuesday, same time as this, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. You can also follow our
7:30 p.m. We've never started at 7 a single time.
No, and we never will.
It's a 7:30 show.
And our DM Writers Room, which day is that, Ethan?
Thursdays at 6:30.
Thursdays at 6:30. You can follow us as we demystify the DMing process, the prep process, etc. 25K. Wow, 25K likes. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely fantastic. And look,
thanks for stopping by.
We've been really one of the last big projects we worked on that stream that we've been working on a lot behind the scenes. Mork Burrow, our monster hunting Morkborg hack. We're very excited to sort of get that rolling. We're starting to get the art together. We're starting to get the stuff together. That's starting to look pretty good as well.
Yeah, so stay tuned, because we got more stuff coming down the pipe. So thanks for following, thanks for liking.